Okay, good morning. Okay, we're gonna set up a new frequency drive for a turntable motor. Right here we got a servo frequency drive. We got that connected to the three-phase input 220 volts right here. Right now the system it's on program, and we got in here the list of parameters we're gonna use to work with this. Okay, on this list there's the first part is the turntable motor parameters, and the second part is the plunger motor parameters. The first thing that we need to do is to change the parameter BO37, so it's going to show us the complete list of parameters. When the system is from factory, it only shows certain parameters, not all of them. So by clicking the blue button, I'm going to just browse to the parameter BO37 first. You see A, B, 037. Enter. And make sure that this hits 00. From factory, it comes on 04, like this. So it will not let you run the whole set of parameters. So you need to make sure that it's complete display, it's 0 in here. So you click 0, and then you click enter. Now that you have defined enter, with this blue button, you can browse between the kind of parameters, the A, the B, the C, and all of them. So the first parameter I want to run, it's the A001. So the frequency selection, reference selection, this means that there's going to use the digital operator parameter F001, pretty much defined in here. So sometimes this is defined like a potentiometer in one of these terminals, but in this case we need to make sure that it's 02. The next parameter we're going to use or check, it's A002. This is the run selection, common selection. In here it says terminal 001, but if we change this to 0 or to 4, the run is going to be used by this button. So on our application, the PLC sends a signal to the run terminal right here. That's why we need to say run command selection A002 is going to be the terminal. A002, number 1, terminal. On the A parameter, the last one we're going to use is the jogging frequency. This is the speed of the movement of the table when it's been jogging. So you go 038, enter. You see 9.999, and that's the maximum frequency that you can use. And those all the A parameters right here. Now we're gonna go to the B0022, and this is the overload limit current. So this is pretty much the maximum current that the system is going to be drawing from the power supply before it goes in alarm. B0022, I'm sorry. 2.7 amps. You can change this up and down. 2.7 is the default from what we have defined here. And now I am forgetting about B0023. This is the overload limit time. So this is the maximum time that it's going to be the overload be allowed to work. And all this is referenced in this little user manual right here with all the parameters. I got this in PDF, so I'll send it to you if you need it. 480 seconds, so it's too much, but this is what we've been using. So now we're going to use, apparently this one is already programmed. We're going to use or check the multifunction inputs S1, S2, and S7. And that's pretty much the inputs S1, S2, and S7. So when the PLC is going to send a signal to inputs S1, this is going to go forward. So C001, enter. 00 means forward. So C002 is going to be reverse. On input 007 is going to go on jogging. So when it gets power on terminal S7, it's going to go and run at the jogging frequency of 9.9 hertz. Okay, now C021 is the last input that we need to configure. That's wrong, so it's gotta be in C0. So when it's gonna receive a signal on the terminal, it's gonna go and do run on C021 as we define over here, terminal run. So it's very important to define these settings, because if they are not, the PLC is gonna be sending signals to these terminals, but the controller is not gonna work, or you're gonna wait for someone to push this button, which is not what we want for defining the running. Now, the next parameter to set it up, it's the motor capacity. So this is very simple because it's 0.4 kilowatts, 0.4 kilowatts. This is a software related thing. Now, the next one to define, it's F001. This is pretty much the output frequency. This is the actual speed of the turntable as long as it moves. Right now I got it selected at 40 hertz, but you always can change it up and down. This setting in F001, it's what we define of A001 using the frequency reference on this parameter F001. Now the last ones to do, it's F002. This is pretty much the acceleration time. It's the time from the movement of 0 hertz to 40 hertz. It's going to have 3 seconds to move. So this can be adjusted on the field if you got very heavy loaded barrels or you got different issues with the acceleration. I used to change those parameters to 4 seconds or 2 seconds. On F003, it's pretty much the acceleration time. Once again, when it's trying to stop, it doesn't stop at a certain time. This is an alarm, and this usually happens when you got a heavy loaded barrel. You can move this thing up a little bit, so it's gonna change the behavior of the speed. So F003. So this is all configured now for turntable motor. The configuration for the plunger, it's very similar to this. You just need to make sure when you're going to run this for the plunger, use different parameters defined also in this sheet. One of the things they used to put in my in the parameter when it's going to run, so leave it this 001 enter, so it's going to show what's the frequency that is it's our actual speed, which the frequency driver it's sending to the motor to move. The other one it's 02. This pretty much shows the amps being drawn by the power, the inverter and the motor by moving it. This is very useful when you see something abnormal, like it's running very hard. The current is going to increase, and that's going to give us an alarm of, you cannot go above 2.7 amps before getting an alarm. Usually, if there's any problem with misalignment on the table or the change rubbing something, usually get some kind of a extra current draw, and that's what drives this issue. So by having this as D002 and running, it's going to give you that screen of what's the amperage, you see amp, or what's the hertz speed. Okay. Do you think you're getting an issue with the PLC sending signals over here, you can also use the parameter DO005. And what this thing does, all of the little lines will go up upon receiving the signals. So if you got your frequency drive connected to the PLC, and upon activating the jogging, the run, the forward, the reverse commands, do not move one of these things up. That means that maybe a shortage between these connectors to the PLC. But this is another one that I added up in there for easy. So D005 is going to show inputs. Number 2 is going to show current. And 01 is going to show hertz speed. Okay, this is ready to go. Remember, be very careful. Down here you got 220 volts 3-phase. And over here you got 24 volts, so just keep it safe. Okay?